I assure you that you didn't know how a flipper or a pinball from more than 30 years ago works, and the funny thing is that I bought this completely destroyed flipper without me knowing it either. I always loved them and wanted to have one, but I never had the money to pay for their cost. My only option was to buy it cheap, semi-destroyed, and try to fix it myself. But I tell you, it just barely fit. Just barely, huh? How did it get in? This is undoubtedly the biggest blind purchase of my life. Literally. I have no idea how to repair this or where I'm going to start. It looks, let's say, in good condition, but the aesthetics are the least of it. At least I have no idea about anything. Not about this, if it's good, if it's bad, if it's broken, not about anything. The first thing I did when I got home was to plug it in to see if it did anything, and obviously it did nothing. Instinctively, I started to follow the cable from the plug to see if it was broken or something like that. I saw that it led to a little box which had a broken fuse. I said, well, definitely this is a start. I replaced the fuse and plugged it back in. Obviously, it did nothing either. I followed the cable route and got to a board, which I didn't even know what it was. And there my dream was frustrated, at least for now. I started researching on the internet how the basic operation of the flippers, and I came across the following. These machines work with very basic electronics since they are quite old, so I was lucky with that. Basically, if we open the top cover, we are going to have 4 boards. The first one is the source. Like in a computer, it is responsible for giving energy to the different parts. In this case, it has several output voltages. For instance, all the logic operates on 5 continuous volts. The lights with 6.5 of alternating current. The coils with 50 volts of alternating current. I could go on. Several of these alternating voltages come from the central transformer, which weighs around 10 kilos and makes an old school noise. Cannibalizing pinball machines is very common in the industry. This is called dismantling one machine to fix another. This had happened to the pinball machine in various ways. It's not apparent because no components are visibly missing from the boards. I thought I put in the missing components and they should work, right? Well, of course not. But okay, that's what I was thinking at the time. How do I know which components are missing? Luckily, all pinball machines back then had manuals. I got the one for my machine, which was very special. It not only explained how to use and set up the game, but also included a complete connection diagram with all the component connections, materials list, and everything. Of course, you need to know how to read these schematics, but it gets easier as you learn. While fixing the power supply, I discovered from the manual that most components, including the large heatsink, were solely for powering the central processing unit logic at 5 volts. I replaced the old components with a modern voltage converter, which wasn't available 30 years ago, like in Back to the Future. With the power supply working, I reconnected everything, plugged it in, and some lights came on, but nothing else happened, and that's it. Also, look at this that I discovered. These wires were here, connecting to this ramp. The thing is that this ramp comes here. This one comes to this board. And these wires that they had put here go directly to the power supply, to the voltage board, let's say. And it's wrong because the board, the central processing unit, controls these LEDs and turns them on and off. So this, when connected, they're not only remain fixed, but also this has low voltage alternating current, but alternating in the end. And this, the rest, handles direct current. Why doesn't it work? For the same reason that if I plugged in the computer without putting the motherboard, and the pinball's motherboard is the one on the right, that huge board, which in short is a mini computer, for example. Here goes the central processing unit, here goes the RAM. The recorded game is stored here, like a hard drive. To repair it, I replaced all missing components, which were quite expensive in my country. Each peripheral interface adapter or adapter interface costs about $1.25, and I replaced them all. After replacing everything, the machine turned on but didn't run. And here is where I had to polish my knowledge in electronics. Having the manual, I first checked that all connections go where they should. I did this by checking if the signal that, for example, came out of a processor pin reached the corresponding destination pin. And so with all of them. And the ones that didn't arrive, I fixed them by connecting them with a little cable. I've summarized this process significantly as it seems dull to me, having also checked all the wave frequencies and voltages. After days of frustration and learning, the board finally worked. I uploaded a test program to make everything blink. I need to check all 6 peripheral interface adapter outputs to confirm proper functioning. But does this mean the board is fully operational? Well, of course not. Now I need to continue with the outputs. This board has an output for each light, coil, switch, and game element, using a matrix for the lights. But, well, I wanted to simplify it a bit. Each output requires checking the transistor, regulator, MOV, SET, or other components individually, and see if it works. If the component is damaged, replace it, and so on, since just one not working can affect a game component, and it can be a light or it can be a crucial component. I put it in the game and plugged it in. To my surprise, it turned on and the first combinations lit up. Of light sounds were heard. The truth is, it was spectacular. There I plug it in. It does just that. The central processing unit starts well, nothing turns on. Now if I open the door here, it resets and now the flashes turn on there. A couple of things turn on. Well, I suppose this is from the credits where I have it. It says that, but even though I press start, it's not working. So what's missing to be able to play? Let's go back to the fundamental plates. The bottom right plate is the sound one. If it works, you'll hear sounds. If not, you won't. Mine fortunately worked, so I didn't touch it. It's a plate that rarely fails. The other plate is the one that handles the large coils, like the bumpers and the hitters. Luckily, I put back what they had taken out, and that's it. It started working. Another thing I did was replace all the fuses on all the plates. The machine has more than 10 fuses, and you have to pay attention to them and replace them with the originals. Going to the playing field underneath it is full of components. If we pay attention, each little thing has a diode. And this diode is also very important. We have to check each and every one, since if one is broken, it will cause the current to flow back to the motherboard, and it will burn some component. Even it can end up burning the PS, or even something more serious already with all this. Yes, I plugged it in, and I was putting things until for the first time in a very long time, the game started, and this was something wonderful. Ow. I can't let go of anything. Although maybe you're noticing this pinball's missing something fundamental. It lacks the screen where our score comes out. Without this truth, you can't play, and this is a problem. These screens are plasma dot screens. There are fewer and fewer left, and mine had been taken out to fix some other flipper. When finding out how much one was, I have been passed more than $2,000 for one. An outrage. Although they can be obtained for $300, but it was also outrageous. It was half of what I had almost paid for my complete machine. And I also didn't have a plate to be able to buy one. I found an internet project that replaced old screens with modern LED ones, and I loved it. I sent the new screen plates to be printed at JLCPCB. JLCPCB, a Chinese website, prints all types of printed circuits. Simply upload your schematic to find out the cost. In my case, I used an extra, which is also the assembly. You provide the board components and their placement, and they assemble and solder the board for you. When I got home, it was fully assembled. I added the processor, LED panels, and that's it. With this, we can now replace the old pinball screen with this modern LED one. Although I realized that I was missing one more small plate for it to work. The physical version was already on its way, but I could still connect it to the computer and use its virtual version in the same game. There I saw that it worked perfectly. The machine was fully operational, with all components turning on, moving, and lights working. I was super excited. Now only the aesthetic aspects remained. For instance, I replaced many of my halogen lights with LED lights to save energy that it comes with from the factory. Then get the top glass, fix the worn parts of the playfield, and more. Look at these people. They are running the entire lighting system. Although, well, for example, you see there are some that do not work. They are burned out. We are going to replace them. Although in my case, I'm not going to restore it. I know that here many fans and nostalgics will not support my decision, but I bought this pinball machine with the idea of doing something unique. Really, this machine is from the Turtles. In my country, it is one of the cheapest and least liked pinball machines there are in circulation. And I want to do something completely new. I want to make the pinball machine of the Argentine football team. I have been working on modifying the game for a few months, creating new dynamics, ramps, printed pieces, and exclusive designs. I'll show it to you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye.